It's Thursday, June 27th, 2013. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, we're back. We're bad. We're talking about Robert's Rules of Order and parliamentary procedure. Fascinating.
Let's do this.
Yep, so I spent the last 6 or so days in the Midwest.
That's a shame.
In Chicago, Madison, Saginaw, Detroit, New Baltimore, going all around. I saw my dad. I haven't seen him in quite some time. Saw my grandpa. Haven't seen him in quite some time. He was happy to tell stories because I brought Emily along. So instead of just, hey, Grandpa, this is what I'm up to, he basically got to retell every good story from his childhood all over again to a new audience.
I'm sorry you had to leave the city.
Yeah, you know what? It was not that bad. It was an experience because I haven't been to Michigan in a while.
Yeah, how was the driving everywhere?
Not that bad because the speed limit's 70 and up.
How was not being able to get food at 2 a.m.?
You stayed in at 2 a.m. You went for a run.
That sucks.
It's funny because I got there and, Wisconsin, we went to this wedding. It was a great time. And then we flew to Detroit and we drove around. We did our thing. But we got into Detroit at like 9 o'clock at night. We're driving to my dad's house and I actually kind of remembered my way around Michigan, which kind of worked.
I know where to go in Connecticut.
Well, the roads are just a big grid, so you can navigate by dead reckoning.
Yep.
So we're hungry, hadn't eaten dinner really, and we're looking for some food. And I'm like, oh, we'll go to a Coney Island, a diner. But a Coney Island's a particular kind of diner that you really only get in that area. But yeah, they all close at like 10. I knew of two that were 24/7.
Whoa.
But they were way up in Sterling Heights, and we were actually going around Sterling Heights up toward New Baltimore. So we didn't actually... Yeah. It was nostalgic.
Is it still Sterling Whites? Even today?
So a lot of Chaldeans have continued to move into that area.
Okay.
Do you know what a Chaldean is?
You said that specifically to challenge my knowledge of Chaldean people.
Nah, I did.
But I know that there's an island of Greece, I believe, Chaldea. Is that correct?
Keep going.
Yeah, I live in Astoria. I know Greek things. That's all I know. There's an island in Greece. It's called Chaldea. Am I right?
That is, in fact, true.
Yes, and the people are from there. That's all I know.
They are basically an old race of Syrian Christians
who
were somewhat displaced and don't really have a homeland.
So Greek people don't live in the island, but it is a Greek island that belongs to the country of Greece.
I don't actually know if they are from that island specifically. I just knew that they were Christians who were displaced from Mesopotamia and parts of what eventually became Rome.
Yeah, countries or things are actually old, not like our piece of shit country.
All right, I guess there's a lot of them today. I pulled up the Wikipedia article in Iraq and Syria, so things
Good luck,
continue
Chaldeans.
to go great for the Chaldeans. Here, their homeland, migrant Chaldo-Assyrian Catholic communities are found in the United States. I'll link to the Wikipedia. You guys can all read it, but a lot of Chaldeans have moved to Sterling Heights and have been for some time.
That's a good place to move. Much better than Syria and Iraq.
Yeah. But the things I can say about the Midwest, not my family and whatever, is that I forgot just how important trick-taking card games are to people in that area. You sit down
old people
and you play
not
even old people, young people, every people. You play hearts. Euchre is kind of a kid's game because unless you cheat, it's a solved game. But they were all the family, Emily's family, they were all really into Pinochle.
Pinochle.
I don't really like Pinochle that much. I don't even know it that
Pinochle.
well. Yeah.
You need a special deck of cards. You got to take a bunch of cards.
It's just two euchre decks.
Yeah.
But, Scott, no one calls it Pinochle like if you weird Connecticans. It's Pinochle.
New York people call it Pinochle.
Yeah, the majority of Pinochle playing peoples call it Pinochle.
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 Knuckle.
But I don't like Pinochle, nor have I played it in the last decade and a half. So we played Hearts, but we had 5 people. So we played a pretty bastard, cutthroat iteration of Hearts. And let me tell you,
how do you play Hearts with 5 people?
Oh, it's simple. The same way you play with 3 people with a little variation. So
how do you play with 3 people? It's a 4-people game, period.
No.
It's not like 1 to 4. It's 4.
Actually, no. And if you read any literature on it, 3 to 5 is kind of the accepted ratio.
I've never played a Hearts that wasn't a 4-people Hearts.
So 4 is standard Hearts. In 3-player Hearts, you play the same way, but the leftover card just kind of goes off to the side, and the first person to take a heart in a trick gets whatever the fuck that card was.
That fucker is like the queen of spades.
Yeah, you know what? Shit sucks sometimes. So with 5-player, you do not basically whoever
How do you
dealt-
pass at the beginning?
So 1 to the left, 2 to the left, 3 to the left, 4 to the left, hold 'em.
Whoa. That's
More importantly-
that's a lot of passing.
Yeah. More importantly, you do not start with the 2 of clubs. You start with whoever is to the left of the dealer, and they lead whatever the fuck they want, unless it's a heart.
You know what? If it's 1 to the left, 2 to the left, 3 to the left, 4 to the left, hold them.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would basically get rid of my 5th worst card, then my 5th and 4th worst card, and so on.
Well, no. That's Scott. No. You're not getting this. You pass 3 cards, 1 to the left. Next hand, 3 cards, 2 to the left. No, I see where you were going with that. That's not what's going on.
Because then I would save up to build the 4 evilest cards and pass them all at once in the last.
But Emily had never really played hearts before, and it was a bunch of Michiganders, including me. You know, my dad was like the shark of hearts. So it was kind of rough for Emily. We start playing, and she'd play a card. Everyone's like, don't want to play that. She's like, why? Bam, queen, all the hearts. It was brutal.
What's wrong with you?
She learned quick. Well, the thing is, you gotta it worked out because the way that game works, remember, whoever goes over the edge ends the game, and then whoever's the lowest score wins. So you can't just pick on the noob. You pick on the noob to a point, and then everyone's protecting the noob because they don't want the game to end. But she caught on quick. But I got to tell you, 5-player hearts, which I've not played often. The only other thing, there's 2 cards in that kitty. So hearts getting broken can be pretty goddamn dangerous. And it's highly likely that even in the first hand, someone has desuited themselves of at least 1 suit.
Yep.
Sometimes multiple suits.
Yeah.
So if you pass someone 3 diamonds, they're fucked. It was a good time to be had. Hearts is I think we did a show on Hearts, so go listen to that show on Hearts.
While you were away, I played Netrunner, I cooked food, I ate food. Actually, I went to the Whitney Museum I never went to before.
No.
They have an exhibit from Edward Hopper, who I didn't know. And he painted that Nighthawks picture, which I was stupid, and I thought Norman Rockwell did that. You know, the people sitting in the diner picture.
I always kind of thought Norman Rockwell did that too.
He
so
didn't do it.
Don't feel bad.
Edward Hopper did it. And the thing about this exhibit that they have there...
Thing is, to this day, all I can think about that picture is someone photoshopped in a broken window and a chair and an anteater being like, come at me, bro.
Right. Anyway, but yeah, at the museum, they not only have all these paintings there, and that many of which are as incredible as that one, but it shows you all like the preparatory drawings he did. So you go into a room that has this painting, and all along the walls in the rest of the room are all the drawings he did on other papers to help get ready for this one painting and like build up to it. And I've never really seen that before in a museum. It was pretty awesome. It was also interesting. They had a wall that showed like a timeline of his history. And it was usually it's like some artist is like troubled and whatnot, right? His history, even though he was like, around 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Was so like our histories. It was like, yep, dude grew up, went to school, went to art school, got a job as an illustrator, didn't really like it, went to what basically sounded like the equivalent of Mocha of the day, sold his first painting, switched over to painting. It's like, dude went to college, learned a skill, was really fucking good at it, did it a lot. And I was like, oh, that's reassuring.
All right.
I like that story.
So maybe we'll make it someday, little brother.
Sure. Paint a painting famous not to be in a museum? Unlikely.
But yeah, I mean, I was in Michigan. People say pop there instead of soda. They say I-75 instead of just 75. Google didn't know how to pronounce the names of pretty much any streets. It's like, turn right on Gratiot Avenue, M53. The thing is, there's really no way to know it's pronounced Gratiot unless you live there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember we were playing train game.
Ticket to Ride?
Ticket to Ride, and you were like Mackinac Island or Sault Ste. Marie. There's just no way to know.
I think you can know Sault Ste. Marie.
Most people don't know.
But Mackinac, yeah, it ends with ACK, I'm pretty sure.
That's pronounced ah.
Yeah, CK, not pronounced wuh. That's a C and a K. A C and a K does not equal a couple W's.
But I had one observation. My family's there, and I grew up in Michigan. It was fun to take Emily over to there's the high school I went to, and that's the park I'd go fuck around in, and these are all the places. These are 3 of the houses I grew up in as a kid. But a significant portion of the people that I would see around were, so shall we say, rotund. And more importantly, a simple observation. When we went to a diner, and this diner is called Ciro's, and it is a Greek diner. There's a lot of Greek diners in Michigan. Like, they're a thing there. Ciro's is the same diner that my grandparents would take me when I was like 4. It's been there forever.
Yep.
As far as I can tell, it has the same menus from back then, because the menu still says, please no cigar or pipe smoking, even though smoking's not a thing in restaurants there anymore.
That's good.
And it pretty much looked like the same menu.
Yep.
So that was very nostalgic, but the portion sizes are easily triple the New York portion size. I ordered an
You can
omelet.
get some big portions in New York, especially at like an Italian
No,
restaurant.
dude, go to the diner down the street, Court Square Diner or whatever, right?
You get a normal average kind of portion.
Yeah,
there.
get an omelet. You get like a 3-egg omelet. This must have been a 13-egg omelet. It covered the entire plate. It was an
How
inch
is this place
thick.
not losing money hand over fist?
I paid $5.95 for that thing, and it came with home fries.
I mean, eggs are cheap, but if they gave you just 3 eggs, they can make even more fucking money.
$15 bought me enough food to feed us for days.
Okay.
But I also ate at a Big Boy, but unlike the time.
Doesn't sound like there's any high quality restaurants out there. Big Boy diner with no
Oh, there are,
old
but it was
menu.
very nostalgic to me to eat at these places, because when I was
I
in
thought
high
Big
school.
Boy was the most hated place for you to eat.
No. So I don't think you know about Big Boy.
I know about Big Boy.
What? Tell me about Big Boy.
It's sort of like a generic diner with that big statue outside.
Nah, that's doesn't really tell. So Big Boy.
Remember we ate at one on the way to Penguicon?
Yes, we did. It was pretty good. It wasn't on the way to Penguicon. It was across the street from Penguicon.
All right. Anyway.
We also ate at that Coney Island diner.
And
so
the
here's
good Mexican place.
So here's the deal. The Big Boy we ate at that rest stop wasn't really a Big Boy like the ones in Southeast Michigan, because Big Boy was the name of a burger before the Big Mac existed. And it's arguable that the Big Mac was based on the Big Boy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the Big Mac...
I'm not going to eat either one of those.
Oh, yeah. But the Big Boy was basically, there were diners, and they would have the Big Boy, and it was named, there's a whole story about how it was named or whatever, and then some illustrator drew Big Boy. But he doesn't look like that Big Boy you saw standing outside holding up the burger. He's kind of this fat-looking kid instead. Long story short, Big Boy became a sort of widely infringed upon trademark. So the people who had the original trademark went around and made deals with all these people who were fucking around with it to franchise it for real. So they weren't franchises like you open a Subway and it's like all other Subways. Shoney's was a Big Boy for a long time. All those chains all over the country.
I thought Shoney's was just Shoney's and was
I
just
used it for a while.
similar
It was,
to Big Boy,
yeah,
but not
for a
Big
while,
Boy.
it was Shoney's Big Boy, or Elias Brothers Big Boy, or Fritz's Big Boy, or Bob's Big Boy. Big Boy was a chain of chains. It was a chain that would be like, you've got the Big Boy menu, and you might have your own shit too. We make the Big Boy menu stuff in a central place and give it to you. Big Boys basically had this awful sort of chili, and this awful chili hamburger, and this awful chili hot dog, and the Big Boy Big Mac. And there's this crazy long story of Big Boy, and the Big Boy we ate at on that road trip that will never be spoken of again was not an Elias Brothers Big Boy. It was basically a shit boy. All that along the way, we were in Michigan, so I didn't really have internet access so much, so I didn't really get to talk on the internet much about all the crazy bullshit that went down politically. Supreme Court shot down 2 anti-gay marriage things. So we won 2 things. And it also shot down the provision of the I guess the Civil Rights Act, or the Voting Rights Act, that said former slave states have to get permission before they get super racist in their voting laws.
So both these things are 5-4, right?
Yeah.
So that means that there are basically 4 people on the Supreme Court who are not racist and not homophobes. There are 4 people who are racist and homophobes, and there's 1 person
Who's a
is
swing hitter.
not a homophobe but is a racist.
You might say that he's a switch hitter. That he goes both ways on these issues.
He likes gays but not black people and Hispanics.
Well, the thing is, he
That's
was
the way to be
consistent
modern.
in a few ways, and that they upheld states' rights in 2 of these decisions, a state's right to make their own voting laws, however racist they might be, in the idea that that state If they make a racist voting law, there'll be a lawsuit in that state and it'll come back up to Supreme Court and they can say that specific law is racist. Basically, that just
In other
means...
words, they can be racist until someone tells them not to, instead of
it's more specific
preventing
than
them
that.
from being racist in the first place.
They can be racist for one election and then we'll fix it, as opposed to
and
they have to
then
get
they'll just be
permission
racist,
to be racist
in a different way the next election, and they'll have to fix it again.
But coupled with all this, that, we expected these rulings, and they pretty much shook down exactly the way we expected. I mean, the standing thing, the Proposition 8 was guaranteed to go down in the way it went down. They basically said the people who were continuing the appeals didn't have the right to continue the appeals because they were not affected because they were straight people not trying to get gay married. The only people who had standing were the gay people who wanted to get married that couldn't, and the state who refused to continue to defend the bullshit law. So the court was like, yeah, you people who are anti-gay have no right to even contest this. It doesn't affect you because you're not gay. So boop. But the other one was a federal thing, but the civil rights one was, again, it was a state's right to determine its own stuff. So pretty much we're going to see more lawsuits now that are going to be interpreted based on some things that happen here. And gay marriage is going to be forced on everywhere. But all of that was expected. What I did not expect was that crazy-ass filibuster of that ridiculous abortion bill in Texas. I saw what happened. I went to bed. I'm sleeping in Emily's grandmother's house. She let us use her bed. She wanted to sleep in the basement. And I'm laying there with my 1 bar of 3G Twitter, and I'm like, oh, there's a filibuster against that abortion bill. Oh, this is getting kind of epic. Oh, she failed on a technicality. That sucks, and I went to bed. Then I wake up and see all the crazy drama that went down.
Yeah, I only pay the smallest amount of attention to those things because I got better shit to do. And
You should have paid attention to this one because it was
I
actually...
can affect it somehow, because it affects me. I don't live in Texas. No one, nor should anyone else.
Yeah. Well, it taught me 2 things. One, the Republicans in Texas are perfectly willing to break the laws and break their own rules that they've already made to be stacked in their favor to prevent someone else from winning. So if you rig the game and you're about to lose, you're willing to just cheat. I feel like people should go to jail over what they tried to do. They basically tried to just move the clock and lie about what happened. Kind of relevant to the second half of the show. But really, what this all comes down to is that former slave states are pretty much universally shitholes in one way or another. And if you're smart, you should really just try to get out of those states.
Can we pass some sort of I don't know if it would take an amendment or a law.
Undo the Civil War and be like, you know what?
No, the law, it should be simply the federal government, right? The executive branch of the federal government will,
Yeah.
if they think that anything your state does is racist, you get 0 federal funding, but you still have to pay taxes. Everyone in your state still has to pay taxes. You get $0 from any federal program, period. Doesn't matter what it is. You
Well-
get no dollars, no bridges, no highways, no nothing. Every single it doesn't even matter what it is, water, sewage. You get no federal money whatsoever. You still have to pay taxes if you do anything that is racist or homophobic whatsoever. Even one law on your books that is racist, you shut down. Your state is basically going to turn into a ruined shithole.
Well,
unless
Congress
you fix your shit up.
kind of has a power like that in the sense that, remember with the whole speed limit thing or the
Exactly,
drinking age
that's what
thing,
I'm
where they
saying,
would-
is
they
basically-
would withhold specific federal funds if certain
So
requirements
this is
weren't met.
your state is. We're not going to make you secede. We're not going to dump you, but we're basically going to say, yeah, we're going to ruin your state completely unless you stop being racist shitholes.
I'm pretty sure they're ruining their states pretty well on their own.
Yeah, but I'm saying we just basically bring it about quicker, right? That way.
Oh,
'cause-
Scott, you want to bring it about quicker? There's a much easier way to do that. I'm
How do
not
we do
saying we
this?
should do this, but all we would have to
to
do...
states like Arizona, we could be like, turning off the water, guys.
No, it's simple. All you would have to do, Texas would be the only one to kind of come out okay, I think, is you just say, all right, if you want fair taxation, you only get out of the federal government however much your state paid in.
Oh, that's a shame.
I mean, states' rights, self-determination. If you don't want to be taxed,
That sucks, Alaska, Hawaii.
Hawaii might actually be okay. They have decent
Well, they don't
property
need
values.
as much, but
Pretty sure that a lot of the red states...
how's that Wyoming doing?
But regardless, all of that was interesting. And if you ignore politics, whatever, but at least read the details of what happened in the filibuster overnight in Tejas.
If you consider politics a game, like a D&D kind of game, it's interesting.
Well, it's especially interesting because the game's rules are X. They're designed to protect old, scared white men. a woman was about to win the game anyway, so they just cheated. It'd be like if we played Puerto Rico and the rule was if you're white and old, you start with 7 doubloons, and someone was about to win anyway. So I just reached in and started taking doubloons out of the box.
You got to be pretty shitty at the game to lose if you start with 7 doubloons.
I know, it was only one person
Turn
filibustering.
1, builder factory. I still have a doubloon left.
Plus, I mean, really, Strom Thurmond filibustered the Civil
You know
Rights
what? On
Act.
turn 1, the university might actually be more powerful. Turn 1, university. Someone's going to settle. You know it's going to happen.
But anyway, yay, gay marriage. It's happening. Gay is happening. It's coming out.
It's happening. Yeah.
So you got anything?
Did I do a news of
You
some
got
kind?
anything? It's Thursday. It's the lounge. You can talk about whatever you want.
I thought I did a news of some kind already.
Did
Didn't
you?
I?
We were just kind of talking. You went to that museum, I guess.
Yeah. I can't even tell what's open event and what's news anymore.
It's
Whatever.
Thursday. We're just chilling, hanging out. It's the lounge.
It's your mom.
Lounge. GeekNights Lounge. The only other thing I have to say is that I've often taken red-eye flights, and for the first time ever, I took a morning flight. Fuck morning flights. I would rather fly overnight than get up in the morning and fly somewhere.
I've had a lot of morning flights.
I do not like morning flights, especially when I basically flew in and then went straight to work. I'm running
not
on,
that early in the morning.
I'm running on fumes and Red Bull right now.
Okay.
Also, Spirit Air can eat a big old dick.
Why are you flying some weird ass shitty airline?
So Spirit Air
You
is
get what you deserve for buying a ticket from a weird airline.
I think we flew Delta, all the rest, which is fine. They're hubbed out that area, so it worked out. And I was in all these different airports. I was in O'Hare, Midway, Milwaukee, all of these
Okay.
airports. But Spirit Air, seriously, eat a big old dick. Here's Spirit
Bag of
Air's
dicks.
scam. Now, it's an obvious scam if you know what they're doing, but it's a scam. Fuck them. Airlines like to lie about their fares.
No.
They also like to hide their fares.
No.
Because they don't want you using things like Expedia or Google or Kayak to just see, like, well, who has the cheapest flight? So Spirit's one of those budget fucking airlines
Which means not actually budget.
that'll have a really low price, but then they charge you $100 at the gate for a carry-on. If you register that carry-on before you get to the airport, then it's like $35.
Is that legal?
Technically, yes. They also charge you for each checked bag, and if it's over a certain amount, then they charge you for that, and it's crazy. But basically, they hope that someone will forget to actually register their bag when they check in, and then they get there, and it's like, oh, well, you can either pay us $100 or throw that bag away. So while we did not get caught by that, fuck Spirit Airlines.
I don't know why you're flying some non-JetBlue airline.
We booked all this stuff all over the place. Also, flying to the Midwest. JetBlue does not go to the Midwest.
Another reason never to fly anything that is not JetBlue.
But Scott, I got family there. If your mom or your grandma was in the Midwest, would you just never visit her again?
Yes.
Okay, I will go to the Midwest to see my dad and my grandpa.
They can come here. It's
I'm
actually better for them to come here.
Well, my grandpa's going to move to Arizona with my mom, which I think will be cool. But I'm trying to get my dad to come to New York. And
Pretty sure JetBlue goes to Arizona.
it's cheaper to fly to Arizona or Seattle on JetBlue than it is to fly to Detroit on basically any airline.
Ding, ding.
But anyway, things of the day.
I think you had a lot of days to pick up a thing. What did you pick up?
So I'm using a really old thing.
Great.
So prepare to be a little bit creeped out if you don't know what the deal is. So Scott, do you know what a potter's field is?
A potter's field?
So
Is that like in Crying Freeman? Or
So I was talking about City Island, which is basically this weird sort of beach town in New York City, like in the Bronx.
Yep.
Like there's the Bronx, and on the east side of the Bronx, there's this huge park by Pelham Bay. And if you drive all the way
Pelham
out through
Bay
this
Park.
park, there's basically like Wildwood. It's like this beach town with beaches and beach houses
So
and
is
boating and
Rockaway.
surfing.
So is Long Beach.
Yeah, but Rockaway and Long Beach are like the
Howard
coastal.
Beach. It's a little fancier.
They're south and they're coastal, and they're a little different. City Island, because it's in the Bronx and it's on the north side, like it's not down like by Long Beach, it's like up in this place that people wouldn't think there's beaches. Like people don't think, oh, I live in the Bronx and there's a beach right there. But anyway, I was talking about this place. So I'm zooming in on Google Maps because I've only been there once just to kind of look at it while I'm talking. And I see this little island next to it called Hart Island with an A, like a deer, a heart.
Yep.
And I see at the top, there's like a park symbol and it says Pottersfield. So I hover over it because I'm like, oh, maybe there's like camping there. And it pops up 5 reviews. Here's the review that Google gives me. Great place to drop off dead hookers. Excellent service. Repeat customer. Very, very impressed. So I click on this and I click on the 5 reviews. Here's the second review. Since I was a child, I've been fascinated with dead things. Birds, bugs, cats, dogs. As I got older and hit puberty, my fascination turned to an obsession. I started hanging out in graveyards looking for like-minded individuals. At one point, I had a relationship with a corpse, but she never wanted to go out and do anything. Then I heard about Potter's Field and realized my life could never be complete if I didn't visit it. Yeah. Was there doing disinterment, and the stink of human decomposing bodies is really something awful. This place is littered with human bones dating centuries.
You need some...
One hell of an experience.
You want to sell some illicit skulls?
Bodies galore.
Illicit human skulls?
So, I was curious at this point. Because it could have been a joke. People will sort of bomb reviews on Yelp and just kind of make an issue. So I looked up, and I'm going to link to the Wikipedia article on Hart Island. Hart Island is New York City's Potter's Field. It was bought from the Indians a long time ago. The city bought it from the
Native
guy...
Americans?
Yeah, who bought it from the Indians, some guy in the Bronx, for $75,000. We put Civil War prisoners of war on this island, and it is New York City's Potter's Field. A Potter's Field is where a city buries people if they don't know who they are, if they die and no one claims the body, if it's a baby in the times before they buried babies anywhere. It's also where they put limbs that are cut off of people, bones they find. Basically, they just dumped bodies on this island for centuries, and they still do it to this day. So if you go to this island, and there's also crazy drama about this island. The press are not allowed to go to the island at all. There have been all these lawsuits.
What if you try to take a boat to the island? Do they
You will
shoot
get arrested.
Will they shoot you?
No, they will arrest you.
Okay.
People have filed freedom of information requests to find out who's buried there. The city stonewalls. There were a bunch of lawsuits where the city is obligated to let people visit the island if they can prove that they have a direct relative who is buried on the island. That's difficult because a lot of the records were burned and a lot of the records are difficult to find. But even if you prove that, they'll take you to the island. You can stand on a gazebo. You are not allowed to leave the gazebo or see any gravesite. And they have prisoners who do the disinterment and such.
From Rikers Island, which is very close by?
Yeah. I am pretty sure that this island is just littered in piles and piles and piles of poorly kept human remains, and it's a secret, and the city is trying to hide malfeasance, and there's crazy drama and stories about this place.
Well, I mean, you can look at it with a satellite. It looks like trees.
Yeah, zoom all the way in, and you see weird, abandoned, busted buildings and white stuff everywhere, and I think there's cool, creepy stuff, and I really want to go to this island now.
So, right near freaking Hart Island, you may know about Little Brother Island.
Little Brother Island.
Little Brother Island.
I don't know about Little Brother Island.
You don't know about... well, it's North Brother Island, actually. I was trying to be funny with Little Brother.
You can make it, Little Brother.
In 1885, they built a hospital there. And you know what the hospital was for?
Tuberculosis or insane people?
Quarantining of...
It's going to be typhoid, right?
Typhoid and 1885. Doesn't exist anymore.
One of the flus?
Smallpox.
Oh.
In the 50s, they turned it into a rehab center, and they abandoned it in 63. And now urban explorer people go there and take pictures, and there's like a pile of books and some buildings and some toilets.
Hopefully they don't find smallpox.
Yep. Because when it was a rehab center, you can still see like stuff left over from like the heroin addicts that were living there, and there's still like remains there of stuff, but
Cool
it's not
beans.
like some island you're gonna get shot or arrested if you try to go to.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I really want to go to Potter's Island, but I can't.
It's Hart Island, Potter's Field.
Potter's Field on Hart Island.
Yeah. Anyway,
You got a thing of the day?
I do have a thing of the day. So there was an awesome person once. Do you know what that person's name was?
I was gonna say the guy who wrote The Little Prince, or
No.
maybe Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
No, a person that I don't know if you've mentioned on this show before. Anton LaVey, pretty awesome guy.
Pretty awesome guy.
So, did you know that he was awesome at playing what instrument?
Now I gotta guess. I'm gonna go with something crazy.
It's crazy, all right.
All right, the sack butt.
No, the calliope, as in the thing that's inside the carousel at the
Yep.
amusement park, you know?
Yup.
Yeah. So here's a video with him playing and talking all about playing awesome carny instruments.
That is pretty badass. I want one of those now.
Yeah. Well, he's playing it on like an electronic keyboard in the 80s, I think. Oh, 93. But he, had played all those kinds of crazy instruments in earlier days.
A school that I visited when I was in high school with my marching band to do a thing actually had basically an old calliope, like the same kind of instrument, just in the music room. So we just started playing with it.
Okay.
That's all. There's nothing else.
It's basically people who couldn't afford an organ.
Yeah.
And I don't think Hammond organs existed yet, right?
Back then,
It was
no.
just pipe organs.
Yes.
Yeah, when did the Hammond organ get invented?
I would guess the 60s.
Yeah, let me check that.
That is my guess. I might be really wrong. That's the kind of guess I would make at a trivia night at a bar, or perhaps on ATK9K, the trivia podcast.
Oh, no. The people played Hammond organs in the 30s and the 40s.
All right.
But I don't think it was the electric kind. Oh, maybe it was. They had electricity.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I didn't read enough of the article. I just looked for the first year in the history section on
right.
Wikipedia.
So, Scott, I move that we suspend Robert's Rules of Order for the
we didn't do a
remainder
meta
of this
moment.
show.
I move that we skip the meta moment. Except for the fact that Kineticon and PAX Aus are really fucking close.
All right. I do not second your movement, so what?
So we're going to do meta moment.
So-
Go to Kineticon and PAX Aus. Oh my God, they're like freaking tomorrow.
Oh my God, I know. I got to get my shit together for Kineticon and PAX Aus and the submissions for PAX Dev. A lot of people haven't gotten back with me. You who might or might not be listening to this, you need to get back to me in the next 2 or 3 days. You're not going to be on that panel. And if none of you get back to me, there won't be a panel. But yeah, Kineticon is going to be awesome. PAX Aus is going to be awesome. And I got to pick a book club book. I've got a book I might pick, but I'm going to read a chapter of it first to be sure. The only reason I'm deciding to maybe pick it is because Emily picked it up and started reading it on this trip and basically burned through the whole thing. So either it's really good or she has to write a paper on it or something.
This Saturday, right? Hold on. I got to get the time. I think it's pretty early in the morning. This Saturday at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
is bar camp again in New York City. I did not help it out this year because I've been busy with PAX Aus preparingness instead of, bar camp.
We still haven't figured out our itinerary for shit after
We don't really
the con.
need one that much.
We do. We need to arrange our transport and things ahead of time so that we don't waste time doing that shit later.
I guess.
Like go-karts, if we don't have that shit prearranged, I'm not doing
someone
it.
else is arranging the go-kart.
Are they arranging it?
I'm not doing it because we need a lot of people. So if they don't get to me and say, this is the go-kart we're doing, I'm not
then
doing
it's not
it.
going to happen.
Exactly. So it's up to them. That's not up to me.
Then it's not going to happen. We're not doing go-karts.
Anyway.
Then what are we doing?
We're doing plenty. Okay, so, but yeah, bar camp is tomorrow. If you want to go to it, you have to go to the website and register so that you can get into the freaking building with their stupid, office New York security bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's just free. So, if you want to go, register on the website and then show up.
There's also the big Pride Parade stuff
Yep.
this weekend. Some people are coming into town. Will probably be. I'll probably hit at least one of the Pride events.
Maybe.
I haven't decided which one yet. What else is going on? Cat Empire, I think, is doing a concert this weekend. I didn't buy tickets yet.
Getting a little tangential. How about a book club book?
I could pick it, but
We
I
don't
haven't-
have one right now.
I could announce it right now, but like I said, I haven't read any of it yet. Do you want me to just pick it?
People need to know what book to buy and start reading because they read way slower than us. If you're gonna keep with the same book and not change your mind, then pick one.
All right, fine. You know what? Fuck it. The book club book is a book. Now I have to pull it up on Amazon.
It better not be the book that I hope it's
I
not.
still want to do that book.
Oh, good. You're not doing that one.
I really want to do that book, though.
Don't.
Because I think that book is going to be a really good
Well,
book.
once you say something, you can't unsay it.
Why don't we just read that book and then review it?
Sounds okay.
So, this book is called Stasiland, Stories from Beyond the Berlin Wall. And the deal is a reporter went and interviewed all these people who lived through, East Germany, West Germany,
Yeah.
Berlin Wall, the Stasi. And it's basically a collection of stories of what it was actually like to live in a place like that, which You know,
Sucked.
a place where neighbors are spying on neighbors and the government is collecting ridiculous information, intruding in people's lives. And
Sounds like what we're living in now.
yeah, I feel like all these people who seem not too concerned with what the NSA might be up to could probably stand to read this book. I also suspect that none of you have read this book.
I didn't even know it existed till just now.
And I kind of want to read it because Emily burned through it so fast. So I will link to it. The book club book is Stasiland
It's nonfiction.
by Anna Funder.
So get
It's
ready for a
nonfiction,
slog.
but it's a collection of narrative short story
That
nonfiction.
makes it a little more palatable.
Remember, if you ever cross me, you're going to read that fucking Norwich Byzantine book that I still have not finished. That thing is 500 dry-ass pages of Byzantine rulers doing their business.
Listen, I have you know how many books have been written in the history of humanity? I can counterattack with the ultimate counterattacks of doom.
Ulysses?
That's only the most obvious of the counterattacks.
Scott, you realize counterattacking, you cannot counterattack me because we both have to read the book. You're going to set yourself on fire just to bring me down with you?
That's right.
See, I can't think of many books that are poison to you. Poison to me, but not to you. But I can think of many books that are poison to you, but not to me.
You're thinking wrong. You're thinking wrong. I know many choices that would be very poisonous.
I don't know. I think you'd have trouble with Norwich.
World Atlas, 1986.
You're going to enjoy that book? You're going to enjoy reading the dictionary? Scrabble dictionary?
Oxford English Dictionary.
Scott, spoilers. I'm going to steal a joke from Stephen Wright.
World Book Encyclopedia, Volume Q.
I am about to steal a joke from Stephen Wright. I think he told this in 1988?
Okay.
Maybe earlier. So, on the
The
dictionary.
zebra did it?
It turns out the zebra did
That's
it.
right.
So, Robert's Rules of Order. Everyone who goes to college and joins a club probably learns what Robert's Rules of Order are because you're going to go to some club meeting, especially if you go to a real school like a university or a school that has formal clubs that actually have governance in the school. You're going to go to your first meeting if you get involved in that stuff, and you're going to see a bunch of guys sitting around, and one of them's going to say, I move that we suspend Robert's Rules of Order for the remainder of this meeting. Everyone will vote yes, and then they'll have their meeting.
Yes.
Robert's Rules of Order, if you don't know, are the pretty much definitive way to run parliamentary systems. If you have to have a group of people who disagree and might be stupid come to some sort of agreement on something and avoid drama.
Yet mostly these systems are really useful in a situation where there are a few smart, no drama people to administer the system, and most of the people are drama crazy or stupid or who knows what. And if you just let people talk and do whatever, it'll just be people shouting over each other for hours nonstop, and you'll never get anything done, right? So it's how can you keep those people there because it's wrong to kick them out and have them not be heard, and actually have a discussion and make decisions, right, together while most people are fucking just trying to ruin the thing all the time. So
Now, these were published in 1876. They've been around a while.
this problem of stupid people making it impossible to come to group decisions is old. It is an old problem.
But you know how you watch 1776, for example, and they keep like, I move to do this. Well, I move that you're an ass. And that's the same thing. It's parliamentary procedure. Anytime someone says something like, I second your motion, that's all Robert's Rules of Order. It behooves you to understand the basics of Robert's Rules of Order, because even if you never use them formally, knowing them will allow you to navigate these kinds of waters if you ever find yourself in them. It allows you to rules lawyer stupid people into doing what you want. And it just gives you a sort of idea of how you can get people to behave if you need some way to make them behave, but don't have any direct authority over them. So, yeah, Robert's Rules of Order, really, the main use of these, in my opinion, is to not so much to get decisions to be made, but really it's that it allows people to get decisions that are made where the people who lose, like we try to do X
Have
and we
to
end up
shut
doing
up.
Y. No, the people who lose have to shut up, but more importantly, the people who lose don't necessarily take it personally because the system as a whole did it as opposed to one individual. Remember in 1776, the guy at the front of the room who presided over everything, he was totally neutral. He had to be. And he was just like, the representative from Rhode Island has moved to do X. Do you all, what-da. one person will take all the ire, but at the same time, that person is very unpersonable and impassive and impersonal. And as a result, you can diffuse the drama that would occur when people don't get their way because the system did it, no individual person did it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the greatest contribution Robert's Rules of Order will bring.
I think the contribution, I mean, we really said the same thing, right? It's like the contribution is you can get this shit done when there's crazy people, and that's the method. That is how, the number one way how it diffuses all those crazy people and prevents them from shouting match, because it's like, yeah, what are you going to shout at? We did it, it's done. What are you going to say now? There's nothing to say.
So Scott, have you ever actually fully followed Robert's Rules of Order?
I've not fully followed them, but when we were in the youth groups of high school, we partially followed them and we did not dismiss them immediately. Basically, right, people, we'd have a meeting, someone would make, announcements, and then we would like, be like, all right, so-and-so wants to do something, you needed a second. And then they'd be like, all right, now we vote. And we just vote with hands, or we'd vote with yay and nay, and, it wasn't, by the book Robert's Rules of Order, but we kept them on pretty much the whole time. But it was it was less to shut down crazy people, right? Because we didn't need the order. We could have just, discussed things out and had it done properly.
Yep.
It was more of this is a fun, ceremonial, ritualistic method of conducting meetings. And it was just sort of fun to do, traditional kind of,
Well,
way.
I think it was RWAG. There were tales from before we got to RIT where RWAG, there was the gaming club on campus.
Them.
Their constitution basically said something like, all executive board meetings are presided over by Robert's Rules of Order, blah, blah, blah. And basically, they would do a technicality where they would say that Robert's Rules of Order are required, but not provide them. So you had to actually own the book and bring it and cite it.
It's not a cheap book.
If you wanted to, and you had to bring the current book too.
I don't think it's public domain.
Well, they keep publishing new versions that technically supersede the old ones in order to sort of make sure you have to keep buying it.
Who prints the thing anyway?
I don't know. All I know is I'm going to link
or
to.
Is Robert like Webster with his dictionary?
There's a real Robert, but ULM actually has a post, and this is the greatest thing. It's this old PDF I found. I've referenced this several times in my life. This thing explains all the basic motions and the basic way that it works, and has a cheat sheet that looks a lot like the Burning Wheel Duel of Witch sheet.
Nice.
If you want to adjourn the meeting, you say this: I move that we adjourn. May you interrupt the speaker? No. Must you be seconded? Yes. Is the motion debatable? No. What vote is required? Majority. So you just look at this like, what do I want to do? I want to amend a motion. You find the row, you go down, you figure out if you can interrupt, and then you do it. So there is definitely
What are the things you can do that allow interrupting?
Oh, you can interrupt the speaker to a point of privilege. So complaining about something like something meta, like the room's too hot, I'm tired.
Okay.
There's no vote. It doesn't mean anything. You just point of privilege. I'm bored.
Nice.
I guess they could cite you for if you use that in an insulting manner.
Point of privilege, the air conditioner is not on. I'm melting in here.
You can object to procedure or personal affront as a point of order.
I should take personal affront, just boring shit.
Yeah, so
I take that as personal affront, good sir.
Yeah, the problem is
not good sir.
You can interrupt the speaker, but there's no vote. The chair just handles your affront however he or she wishes.
Yeah, I'll keep affronting.
You can call for a point of information where I would like to know the rule of Robert's Rule of Order in this case because I don't know it. You can object to the consideration of an undiplomatic vote.
What was an undiplomatic vote? Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
I could explain it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
You can reconsider something that was already disposed of. You can interrupt for that. You can vote on a ruling by the chair. So if I make a point of privilege, I'm bored. You make a point of order, you're offended and take personal affront at my boredom, and the chair says, yes, Rim, fuck you, you don't get to talk anymore. And then someone else votes to appeal the chair's decision to tell me not to talk, and then we vote. All of those things can be interruptions along the way.
Nice.
There's more. I'm not going to go down this.
Yeah,
whole
but
list.
I mean, they're rules of order, right? It's ways of maintaining order when
It's the
there are
Bill
a
Cosby
bunch
thing.
of opposed
It doesn't
people.
get you justice, but it gets you quiet.
Yeah, it's
That
like
is what Robert's Rules of Order do.
right. And as long as there is some enforcement of the rules, right, where basically if anyone starts, talking who's not supposed to be talking or says something they're not supposed to say, the chair just freaking bangs the gavel and says, "Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! You're not allowed to talk right now. Order, order, order." And then maybe a bailiff takes you out or something, right? So you can all have a ton of people who are really passionate or crazed or really incensed and have a lot to say, but unlike at panels at cons where they'll just yell out, you can't just yell out. You got to maintain order in this hereto proceedings.
Now, in the RIT Anime Club, I think I forget, but I think our Constitution basically said we used Robert's Rules of Order, but it was implied that we always went to, I think the term is informal discussion or whatever. Basically, and this is kind of my advice to you kids out there, because a lot of you are in high school or in college, and if you're joining clubs and getting into all this business like high school youth group or whatever, and you're in a position to decide how your procedures work, I would recommend that regardless of what your stupid Constitution says, your board should meet in private, if you can, and just talk and try to always rule by consensus. Talk until you have a unanimous agreement, and only ever call a vote if you are sure that the vote will be unanimous.
If you're in a situation where you need to use Robert's Rules of Order because there's drama crazy people, you're already in trouble because you have drama crazy people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what you do is you go until unanimous. Like in the anime club, we would what show are we going to show? 4 weeks from now. And we just talk about it until we all agreed. Now, maybe I didn't want to show Fancy La La, but everyone else does. I might say, you know what, fine, I'll go with it. I'll vote, I will vote yes when we vote. I don't object strongly enough to make this an issue. I just want to go get some food because it's Friday. It is like 5:30 and we've been here for an hour. But at the same time, we would switch to Robert's Rules of Order if it was obvious, like if we'd been debating for a couple hours and there was obvious no consensus would be made, we would either just call a vote or formal Robert's Rules of Order. Calling a vote is basically calling the question in Robert's Rules of Order of, fuck it, let's just vote. And you need to vote on if you're going to have the vote. And if you have the vote, then you vote.
Mm-hmm.
So the only other time you need to use Robert's Rules of Order, and this is when you use it from the beginning, is if there is pre-arranged drama.
Mm-hmm. Like you're going into a meeting already knowing
like Scott and I are
drama's
like,
coming down.
Yep, like, all right, all us smart people got together separately for the mutiny, and we're like, we are going to strip the president of our club of his powers because he's a drama-filled jackass. We're going to do it. And then you show up at the meeting and he's ready to do his normal bullshit. And then you all look at each other and someone says, I move that we begin with Robert's Rules of Order. I second it approved. I move that we remove Chairman Joey Jojo Shabadoo from the chair. I move that we're that. And you go through the full formal procedure from the beginning. That way, the drama person has no point where they can say anything. They can't really.
They could interrupt with their affronted.
They can follow all the rules, but they can't just speak their kind of drama piece. They get their chance to speak per the rules, and the thing is, usually when you're doing this, it's because you're getting rid of someone full of drama. They're pretty much immediately going to start yelling or crying or causing a scene.
Well, it's rules of order. It's not rules of making a scene, so you're going to be in big trouble if you freak out.
So Robert's Rules of Order basically let you immediately win as soon as the person freaks out.
Exactly. That's really the fundamental thing here is that as rules of order, they, not only they help you maintain order, but really what they do is shut down anyone who is out of order, right? And a lot of times when you have any emotional situations in group meetings that are, have some sort of power of decision making, even over trivial matters like on an animated show.
I was in multiple e-board meetings where more than one person cried during the debate.
Yeah, and it's like, really, it's just anime club and you're freaking out, right? But if people are freaking out, it basically makes it so the people who are freaking out lose, no matter which side they're on, right? So the people who are calm and collected, intelligent, not freaking out people win out. And I think that's a pretty good system. I think you should be able to,
Now, in most cases, very few people will use Robert's Rule on their own where there's no meta authority. Like, I form a local anime club, like just for me. I probably, unless you watched our lecture on how to run an anime club, you probably don't think to write a constitution, have Robert's Rules of Order. But in that case, the rules are the full authority. So there's the sort of Andrew Jackson option of the chair has made his decision. Fuck the chair. Get out of my basement, all of you. The club is done.
That's right.
And in that case, what I'm about to recommend doesn't really work. But in the case of you're in a body where you could get sued, you're in a body where there's a meta authority, like you meet at the library. You're the city council. You are the university club, and there's the club board that reviews the bullshit you do, where if you kick someone out of your club, they can cause drama for you. They can cause injury from outside. So you need to start formally and do everything we just said, not just so the drama person will lose. They're going to lose anyway. So that you have a very formal record of how it all went down. So when that person tries to appeal to the ombudsman comes and your secretary gives them the role of what happened, fully following Robert's Rules of Order, you've basically covered your ass. Robert's Rules of Order is a combination of stop drama, cover one's asses.
Right. And, the covering ass is like, it's twofold. It's number one, we followed these rules and that's how it turned out. What can you complain about? It was neutral and fair according to these rules. We played the game and I won. That's how it is. It wasn't some biased thing where everyone was out to get you. And at the same time, it's also like, look, these rules benefit the not freaking out person. You were the freaking out person. That's why you lost. Hey, look, third parties, the not freaking out people won out in this decision. That's why it's the right decision.
Also, it's a lot like a burning wheel duel of wits suddenly.
Oh, it sure is.
And like you said, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Now, my sort of meta point about bringing this up is one, like I said, a lot of you listeners will probably be able to use this. It's learn this stuff just enough. Read this document for real. If there's drama, print it out and show it to the other non-drama people.
It's weird that it seems sort of like an adult thing, but I used it way more when I was younger and hardly, pretty much zero, not at all since leaving college.
And you might feel awkward going through the motions. You might feel awkward like actually following the procedure. Just go with it. Just like actually try to take it seriously and just do it. Just be like, I move to whatever. I move to fuck Scott in the ass.
Whoa.
I second that motion.
You can't second your own motion. And I take that as an affront.
But at the same time, if you're going to go through the motions fully and formally and all this, if you need practice because you don't feel like you can kind of keep it going, you'll feel awkward, just play Mafia. That's how the voting to kill someone works in Mafia. You point and someone seconds, then you have a debate and then you vote. Mafia is just a tiny version of Robert's Rules of Order.
Yep.
In
a
fact,
subset.
I wonder how interesting Mafia would be if you instituted a slightly more formal version of Robert's Rules of Order.
Because basically Mafia, you're simulating the town council meeting the next day of who to kill. So of course that meeting has Robert's Rules of Order or something similar to it, right? It makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
Thematically, you're role-playing that meeting in the morning, right? And it also works as a game mechanic because it is a game.
But my meta point, I got to this earlier, but what happened in Texas? This is something that bothers me about the U.S. government. We have parliamentary procedures in...
They're not exactly Robert's Rules of Order, though. Each different body makes its own crazy rules that are always crazy, different, and changing and whatnot.
They're well beyond what the Constitution stipulates.
Yeah, the Congress actually has a rules committee. Both houses of Congress have rules committees that make up the rules for the freaking... It's crazy.
Now, I'm fine with that. What bothers me is that people break the rules. I don't care. The fact that the Congress can't just vote on the rules and then follow them 100%, that they will break their own goddamn rules. The Republicans will start chanting USA, USA, so that the chairman can actually pretend he didn't hear the point of order that was made because they'd broken the rules and had an illegal vote, and that shit counts.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me about our government.
Well, the thing is, that's saying Robert's Rules of Order are made by this dude, Robert, who I don't think exists. I think he's like Webster. But you pretend the fictional Robert made up these rules. Maybe there was a Robert
There's
at some
a real
point.
Robert. Read the Wikipedia.
He can't still be alive.
God, no.
Right. So there was a guy named Robert. He didn't have, Robert doesn't have an opinion on what anime is being shown this week. Right. He's got no stake in that game. He's pretty much, his only thing Robert really cares about is, will Robert come back to life? The answer is no. So he's pretty much SOL.
But
so if you follow Robert's rules, they're not really benefiting one person or the other. But when, say, a Congress that is dominated by one party makes up rules, they are not just making up these nice, fair rules like Robert's rules. All right, they're making up rules that supposedly benefit them. It's like if I'm playing Puerto Rico, I'm gonna change the rules, and if I'm playing corn, I'm gonna be like, yeah, guys, corn's worth double doubloons now. Actually, it's worth quintuple doubloons because I'm the corn king.
That is fine in one sense because one, Robert's Rules of Order are kind of set up. You can set up systems where changing the rules is way harder than just doing something.
Yeah, it's true, but still,
and two,
there shouldn't be a system in which changing the rules benefits one or more of the people
Scott, that's
involved
not my
in the game.
That is a
not
separate
cool.
problem.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is that one, the chair could be biased. But the rules have a way for people to appeal that.
Robert's rules do, but not these congressional rules.
Congressional rules do too. And this is what I'm getting at. This is what bothers me. They don't even follow their own goddamn rules. Yep. It's one thing to make the rules stacked in your favor and then win because of that. It's another thing to stack the rules in your favor, and if you start to lose, to just cheat.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that people don't get that outraged about how we have this crazy procedure and sometimes we use it and sometimes we don't is one of the things that bothers me more than almost any other thing in American politics.
Do you think anyone even know? I mean, how many people even know Robert's Rules of Order exist?
Yeah. So anyway, nerds especially like D&D and
this
gamer
is a super
nerds,
nerdy thing. You could actually just take Robert's Rules of Order, and if you want to play a game,
you want to figure out what you're going to eat for dinner at the dorm?
That's for a real decision. I'm saying make up a fake decision, like what's better, green or blue? We're gonna have a meeting. You're the chair. Everyone else is just people. Go. And it's a game.
Point of order. I take personal affront to the fact that you even put blue in the same context.
I agree. Recognize. I don't know.
But there's a certain mystique about Robert's Rules of Order. If you talk to old grognards who play like war games, they'll always have the story about how their gaming club on campus was meeting in like the 70s. And then the one fat dude showed up one day with a copy of Robert's Rules of Order and actually followed them and then ended up taking over the club and doing crazy crap. Mm-hmm. There's a certain mystique and sort of secret power in knowing about these things. So if you want to be the cool kid and you're a freshman in college and you know Robert's Rules of Order, you can be the cool kid among a certain subset of the people at your school.
Mm.
I move.
I'm hungry.
That we go get some dinner. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.